What happens when a horrible person who pretends to be an influencer so that she can scam people finally gets caught scamming people?
Everyone is talking about the influencer that's accused of scamming a family-owned restaurant. I believe my son, JC, also died in her care.
Imagine taking your pet dog, scratch that, your absolutely gorgeous husky, to a pet sitter because you want to go on a 10 days trip, only to come back and find it dead.
In March, I need a dog sitter while I visit my family for only 10 days.
Not only that your lovely pet is dead, you also find it wrapped in a trash bag, stuffed in a suitcase, and shipped back to you like some random disgusting trash that deserves zero dignity.
When we got him back, he was in a suitcase, wrapped in trash bag. I will never forget that.
Now that's the exact tragedy this lady had to go through only because she trusted an influencer pet sitter to care for her husky. But then the most disturbing part of this whole situation is the way Fahmida Sultana, who, by the way, is our villain in this video, handled the whole case. And you'll definitely feel some chilling cold around your feet when you hear the full story. Plus, just to provide a bit more perspective about her, here's another time she was in a huge scandal because she claimed to be a food critic and scammed a family restaurant to get free food.
A TikTok influencer took a $200 comped meal and ghosted the restaurant, then slammed them with a 1 out of 10 review.
She didn't only just scam these people, she also left them a terrible review, a 1-star rating, packed as much takeout as she could, and tipped the waiters only $6 when she was supposed to tip way above that. Then she ghosted them completely. Honestly, this seems really heartless, it seems entitled and self-centered. And what happens when she gets caught? Well, she immediately tries to play the victim, and that's where it gets even worse.
If you don't like me, that's fine. But, watch your mouth.
Meet Fahmida Sultana, also known as Medes, and the many other names she goes by on her different social media platforms. In fact, some people in the vet world now refer to her as the Angel of Death, and it's because of what she did to this adorable-looking husky that was left in her care. Now, this particular story started on one of the sweetest notes possible, but then it ended in such a horrible way, you won't be wrong to mistake it for something cut out of a horror movie. Here's Yuzi, a loving pet mother, who you can tell absolutely adores her husky and would do just about anything for him. I mean, from the pictures we can find online and from her social media, there's no doubt that this lady would give anything for her husky's comfort. You could also easily tell that the dog, whose name is Jia Cheng or just JC, loved its owner right back and felt the most comfortable around her. And before we go further with this story, let's just take a few moments to appreciate the absolute gorgeousness that is this husky.
干妈呢？
祝李嘉诚生日快乐！哇，好开心啊！李嘉诚生日快乐，越来越健康。
好耶，谢谢干妈们。哎呦，耳朵吃掉了。
是不是不爱吃啊？
还行，因为他中午还。
Okay, I don't care what your opinion is, but JC is such an adorable, cute little thing. And these pictures were taken on his 7th birthday sometime last year. This means that he had shared this unique special bond with his owner for 7 solid years. Also, he would have been 8 this year if the unfortunate catastrophe that is Fahmida Sultana didn't come into this whole picture. The story started when Yuzi contacted Fahmida and told the influencer she was looking for a pet care for her husky. Obviously, she was planning to travel and see her family for 10 days, and she needed someone to care for her beloved pet while she was gone.
Fahmida told me to not go through Rover.
According to Yuzi, Fahmida discouraged her from keeping their communication on rovers, and instead promised that she would be able to adequately care for the dog outside the platform. And Yuzi agreed because she trusted Fahmida.
I trusted her, so I agreed.
Anyways, after being convinced, Yuzi handed her dog over to Fahmida and headed out on the trip to see her family. Thankfully, the trip was a successful one and everything seemed to be going fine initially. Well, until they stopped being fine. Fahmida suddenly stopped communicating with the dog owner, and this sudden silence was definitely suspicious. At some point, Yuzi was sending multiple messages to ask for her dog's welfare, yet Fahmida wasn't replying to them.
You're right. I asked for photos and updates, but she didn't answer for a long time.
Anyways, Yuzi would soon get confirmation for all her suspicions once she arrived and asked to see her dog. According to the already distressed lady, the dog was brought to her dead. And yeah, we mean dead.
When my plan ended, she called me and said JC died while she was watching him. In March, I need a dog sitter while I visit my family.
However, the biggest issue here is not even the fact that this dog died in Fahmida's care. The real issue has to do with the manner in which this self-centered and socially unaware influencer handled the whole situation. Yeah, this is where the whole drama became even more intense. First, this lady didn't even treat the dog like it deserved any bit of respect at all. And this definitely points to how she treated the poor animal while it was in her care. What she did was to wrap the dead dog in a plastic trash bag, stuff it in a suitcase, and return it like it was just some random DHL package. But that's not even the worst of it yet. Another weird angle to this whole story is the fact that Fahmida decided this time she wasn't going to meet the pet owner at her house or anywhere close to her neighborhood. Instead, she insisted on taking the dead dog to a new location, almost 30 minutes away from where she lives.
You want me to, it's in here in a bag. You want to take the bag out or you want to take the suitcase?
Is he in a bag?
He's in a bag, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do the bag, right?
Now, the interesting thing here is that when JC's mom dropped off her pet, it was at Fahmida's apartment, somewhere around 561 10th Avenue, New York. And it'll even interest you more to know that there is a veterinary clinic right behind this apartment.
When JC's mother dropped the dog off, she dropped it off at 561 10th Avenue, Fahmida's apartment. Located right behind 561 10th Avenue is a veterinary clinic, Pure Paws Veterinary. What this means is that Fahmida intentionally bypassed the pet clinic that was practically closest to her and opted to drop off the dead dog at another clinic that's a very far drive from her apartment. Fahmida insisted that they meet at this vet down in Chelsea. Now, if you're not from New York City, this is a long distance. It's only about a mile, but to get from here to here without a car, which they Ubered.
And honestly, this is quite weird, because why are you going through the stress of driving 30 minutes to a totally random vet clinic for the drop-off when you literally have one at the back of your apartment? Like, can you make that make sense, please? Anyways, the ridiculousness and absolute craziness of this whole shady business is about to get even worse when you hear the nonsense story Fahmida and her boyfriend came up with at the drop-off location.
Is he in a bag? He's in a bag, yeah. Yeah. You want to do the bag, right?
So, again, we went to bed. He went to bed. Everything was fine. And then in the morning, he didn't wake up when we woke up like he usually does. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's tired. He's sleeping. We go do our work and stuff, and then come back because like I want him to eat. I want him to go on a walk. And eat.
First, they claimed that JC was all healthy and fit all through the 10 days it stayed in their care. Then it magically developed a condition in its sleep and died on the night just before pickup day. Now, isn't that just too convenient? I mean, any random person on the street with half a working brain should be able to see how ridiculous and dumb that story sounds. And people are rightfully calling it out in the comments. But hey, let's even assume we're all dumb for a moment and we want to give this story a pass. There are 1,001 other loopholes in the cover story that should instantly send alarm bells ringing in your brains. For starters, a veterinarian performed a necropsy on the dead dog, which is like an autopsy but for animals. Now, the result of this stated that there's no way the dog died within the timeline that Fahmida and her partner are claiming. In fact, it clearly shows that decomposition and decline in the dog's body do not match the timeline that Fahmida wants us to believe. Another massive loophole in this cover-up story is that Fahmida herself, who had not really been very responsive to Yuzi's messages all along, suddenly decided to be very detailed about the dog's well-being and activities just a day before pickup. I mean, look at the well-detailed message she suddenly sent to the pet mom just out of the blue, and then the next morning you're suddenly saying the dog died in its sleep? Now here's our theory of what happened to the adorable husky that was left in the care of this terrible self-absorbed influencer. We think that Fahmida accepted the responsibility for caring for that poor dog because she wanted the pay that came with it. However, being who she is, she totally forgot about providing the care that she promised. So this gorgeous husky, who had known nothing but absolute love, care, and affection his whole life, died of neglect. Fahmida totally neglected the existence of JC to the extent that the poor dog died in her custody. And honestly, that's a very terrible thing to do to another living, breathing thing. Even the necropsy report agrees to this, considering that a part of it says the condition which led to JC's death required missed signs, missed care, or a level of inattentiveness that no boarded dog should ever experience. And hey, we haven't even talked about the missing dog collar and what that could have meant for poor Jing Zhang. It happened that Yuzi noticed her dog's collar was missing when she took its body home. So she messaged Fahmida and said, "Where's the collar? The gold one? Do you have it?" And guess what Fahmida did? She ghosted Yuzi. Yeah, she ghosted a person whose dog died in her care and who was still trying to make sense of the whole situation. It was until about 2 weeks later that she came back to reply to that message. 2 whole weeks. And here is her reply. "Hey, I am now just seeing this, but we deep cleaned the house last week and did not see any gold collar. But I can look again. Do you have a pic of the collar? Also, how are you doing?" Like, what do you mean you can't find the dog's collar that was left in your care? Did it magically develop wings and fly away? Anyways, a popular influencer who initially helped investigate this story formed a theory on the collar, and we totally agree with it. He thinks Fahmida and her partner had earlier planned to discard the dog's body, and they removed the collar in the process. However, it soon occurred to them that the dog might have a microchip, and that's when they changed their minds. Hear him out.
Why would you remove and discard a dead dog's collar, put it in a trash bag, stuff it in luggage, and take it blocks away from your house? Here's what I think happened. I think the dog died from neglect in their care. I think they packed it up in the suitcase in the trash bag and removed its collar so nobody could identify it, had planned to dump it, and then at the last moment realized maybe it has a microchip. Do not...
Now, it was at this point when Fahmida saw that there was no way she could wriggle out of this situation or manipulate people to see her as innocent or even the victim that she decided to drop what looked like an apology. But even then, it still reads like a statement trying to manipulate people into perceiving her as a harmless and pretty innocent influencer who's just being majorly misunderstood. Here are some of the important points in what she wrote. On JC, earlier this year, I cared for a husky named JC. On the last morning of his stay, I woke up and found that he was unresponsive. I am devastated that this happened when he was in my care, and I know nothing I say will take away his family's pain. I contacted his owner immediately and tried to get him to a vet, but the owners chose to handle any further testing and veterinary decisions themselves. I transported him in the only way I had available at that moment, not out of disrespect, but because this was an urgent and unexpected situation, and I didn't know how else to move JC safely and quickly. I've been informed that the necropsy and toxology testing did not find evidence that JC had been poisoned or deliberately abused. I would never harm any animal. But come on, do you even hear yourself, Fahmida? Firstly, how can you just wake up and find a dog that was all full of life, dead? And this was according to your own account in this statement. Plus, what do you mean you tried to get him to a vet immediately, when we all know you stuffed this poor animal in a suitcase and transported him about 30 minutes to a different vet clinic when you literally have one just beside your apartment, and you still expect the owner to just let you continue handling the dog? I mean, it's either this lady's suffering from the grandest self-delusion ever, or she just thinks we're all dumb, senseless zombies that'll take whatever she dishes to us as the absolute truth. Because how else do you explain the fact that she tried to play smart on us by mentioning that the necropsy and toxology tests confirmed that the dog wasn't poisoned or abused? However, she conveniently left out the part where results also stated that the dog must have suffered severe neglect and must have died way before Fahmida was claiming it did. This lady even still has the guts to tell us she transported the dead dog in the best way available to her at the moment. I mean, this was after she wrapped him in a plastic trash bag and stuffed him in a suitcase. Oh, come on. You're just so lucky that Yuzi is a calm and non-troublesome person. Because to be honest, any other pet parent would have most likely gone the John Wick route if their dog was unalived and stuffed in a suitcase. We even have people pointing to this same fact in the comments. Thankfully, though, Yuzi has decided to legally seek justice for her dearly beloved husky, and we're all sincerely hoping that the law fully catches up on Fahmida as soon as possible. However, there's one very vital piece of information about this whole situation we also definitely need to point out, and it's the fact that the case had happened much earlier on, months ago in fact, and everyone, especially Fahmida, had almost moved past it and carried on with their regular lives. Well, until this very troublesome influencer got into another big controversy that blew the whole case open again, and this brings us to the second Fahmida controversy.
An influencer scammed my family-owned restaurant. Hi, my name is John. I'm the owner and son of Chef Papa Vimni's Kitchen.
A TikTok influencer took a $200 comped meal and ghosted the restaurant, then slammed them with a 1 out of 10 review.
This case involves Fahmida scamming a local family restaurant known as Chef Papa, and it all started with an influencer reaching out to this restaurant via Instagram and proposing a deal to them.
We had this influencer contact us through Instagram asking if we had any collaboration opportunities. Of course,
In Fahmida's message, she claimed to be a lifestyle and beauty content creator with a very large following across social media. She also said she loves trying out restaurants and recommending them to people in the city as a food influencer. Then she proposed a collaboration with the restaurant. In fact, this lady took out her time to craft what could pass as an official proposal to a multinational company, all because she wanted to get free food. Here's her first message to the restaurant. Now, of course, any small business would love to immediately grab this opportunity to grow their business and sell it to new audiences. And that's exactly what the restaurant's owners did. They quickly showed a willingness to collaborate and asked Fahmida how she would like to proceed. In response, Fahmida promised to help them shoot some content and showcase what the restaurant has to offer. And in turn, she'll get some free food and drinks. So basically, she just wanted free food. Anyways, the restaurant owner, whose name is John, by the way, agreed to Fahmida's terms and wanted to know when she could film the content. Fahmida replied the very next day and said she was going to come that same day at 8:30 p.m. Now, tell me you don't see some high level of hunger and desperation in this message.
Everything sounded great. I asked when she would like to come in. She said she would like to come in tonight at 8:30 p.m.
But guess what? That's not even the height of the desperation, because this lady didn't even wait for confirmation from John. And the next thing you know, she was at the restaurant with her boyfriend at 9 p.m. that same day. Now, you should know that this restaurant usually closes around 10 p.m., but Fahmida still showed up around 9 p.m. and was expecting to be served. Anyways, because John was trying to be a gentleman, he just had to accommodate her. And here's where the story started taking an interesting turn. Fahmida and her partner ended up eating about $200 worth of food and drinks, and they even took some takeouts when going. Also, here's something interesting to note. If Fahmida and her partner arrived at around 9 p.m. and were still able to eat up to $200 worth of food, then this should mean that the restaurant staff and owner had to stay behind way past their closing time, at least to give her a satisfactory experience. But guess what? After stressing out these workers and making them stay overtime without any prior notice, Fahmida still went ahead and under-tipped them. Because according to John's report, she only dropped a $6 tip for them. This definitely goes to confirm how heartless this lady can be.
$200 worth of food and left a $6 tip. Of course, the $200 bill was
At this point, you must be thinking that she must have done her worst. But I am sorry to break it to you that here's where the controversy really actually starts. So Fahmida basically ate $200 worth of comped food, took takeouts, tipped just $6, went home and totally ghosted the restaurant. Yeah, you heard that right. She ghosted them totally. Remember, the agreement was that Fahmida was going to make some review contents about her experience in the restaurant and post on her socials? Well, she didn't bother about doing that, nor did she send any message to discuss any of it with the restaurant handlers. She just simply carried on with her life like she was never there with her partner, eating like gluttons. Of course, after waiting around for a couple of weeks for Fahmida to keep up on her own end of the bargain and getting nothing from her, John had to send her messages to inquire what was really going on. At first, he simply DM'd her saying, "Hi Fahmida, hope you are having a good weekend. We just want to check in to see when the videos will be posted. Please let us know, thank you." But guess what? He only got absolute silence. And mind you, this was already about 1 month after Fahmida and her partner came to eat around $200 worth of food at the restaurant. Now, John waited for about a day and sent another message to the evasive influencer saying, "Hi Fahmida, just following up on our last message in case you didn't receive it. We would like to know when our collaboration reel will be posted on your page." I mean, that's not too much to ask, right? Well, wrong. It is too much for Fahmida, because she still refused to acknowledge the messages, nor keep to her own end of the bargain. Instead, she just carried on posting loads and loads of reels on her Instagram page, as if nothing really was going on in the background. Anyways, John waited one more day and texted her again saying, Hi Fahmida, checking here again as you keep posting content and not responding. We are a family-owned restaurant and provided you a comped meal in exchange for a video, believing that you are an honest influencer. Please confirm if you will post a video by tomorrow. If you are not going to post a video, please let us know and confirm you'll be back to the restaurant to pay your bill and tip the waiter appropriately. At this point, you could already feel the frustration in his voice, and any wise influencer would have replied to him immediately and tried to de-escalate the situation. But no, not Fahmida, the selfish and obviously foolish influencer. John tried to reach her a couple more times the next day, but she just wouldn't reply. He even tried to place a call to her, but she just ignored that too. It was at this point that John decided to blow up the whole situation from his end. So he did a call out on Fahmida, and luckily, the call out went viral.
An influencer scammed my family-owned restaurant.
When Fahmida saw the call out video and how it was going viral, she finally decided to respond to the video. However, instead of reaching out to John and finding a way to settle the case, this arrogant lady decided to bully the restaurant into silence. What she did was to make and post a review where she was saying all sorts of bad things about the restaurant.
And she finally posted and made a video featuring our restaurant. In the video, she stated that our restaurant was terrible, food was terrible, service was terrible, the smell of the food was horrible. She left feeling...
She said the restaurant and their food was terrible. The smell of the food was horrible. Its taste was not good, and she left the place feeling very bad. But even before making this review, she had already commented on the original video John made, saying almost the same thing. According to her, the reason why she hadn't made and posted a review all this while, as agreed, was because she didn't want to mislead her audience, considering that she believes in transparency. She probably thought she could easily bully and manipulate the restaurant into taking down their post, but unfortunately for her, John was ready this time. The young man quickly replied to her comment and pointed out that she never made any complaint about their food or service when she was at the restaurant. In fact, they straight up asked her, and she said everything was fine. This lady even took some food home.
How was everything? You told us everything was great. Service was great. Food was great. Then you left the restaurant knowing that you weren't going to post us because you thought everything was terrible.
So how come you only realized that the food and service was terrible when you got home? Okay, let's even agree that this is truly the case. How come you didn't reach out to the restaurant and tell them how you really felt? Instead, you ghosted them and went about your normal life. If you had at least replied to their messages, then just maybe they could have educated your ignorant self on the things you should know about the food you ordered.
You sound super ignorant because if you know Vietnamese food, you know it's known for its strong aroma. Fish sauce, shrimp paste, and even our food is Americanized because at home, when we cook it, it's meant to be super strong. Maybe you didn't know that because everyone has a complex palate. You know, I won't blame you for it.
Heck, how do you even order and eat $200 worth of food you didn't like? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. And to top it all off, you took some of that same food home. But you know what's even more nerve-wracking in this story? Fahmida had the guts to leave the restaurant a 1-star rating as some kind of petty retaliation. Anyways, while all this was going on and gaining traction online, a random popular dude on Instagram who deals with cases like this decided to visit the restaurant and do an independent investigation into Fahmida's claims.
Here, it's in Queens, but I think I see it. All right, guys, so I'm here at the scene of the crime. This is where Fatima said
this dude went to the restaurant and ordered his food as a random customer so that the workers wouldn't know what his true intentions were. This way they can serve him the same way they do for every other customer. Here's some of the food he ordered and what he thinks about them.
Skewers as an app. It's like ground shrimp, seasoning, and they give you this fish sauce on the side. Absolutely incredible. I was between this and the beef option they had. So glad I picked this. Really enjoyed it. All right, and this was the second dish. This is a banh mi. As soon as I walked into this place, I knew this sandwich was gonna fuck. Look at that cross section, pork belly, cold cuts, the slaw, the bread. It was.
He also tried out other food like
go-to, the chicken, the rice. There's an egg on the side, some slaw, sauce on the side. This was really, really, really good.
At this point, when Fahmida saw that the situation had really blown out of proportion and that public opinion was very much against her, she knew she had no other option than to swallow her pride and seek for a settlement with John. She sent a message to the young man saying she was sorry for all that she did, especially for ghosting him and not replying to his messages all this while. She claimed to have been struggling with her health and had not been very consistent online. But we all know that's a lie because she never stopped posting dozens of content on her page every day, not even for a moment. Beyond the apology, though, Fahmida also said she was going to send John $300, delete her terrible review about the restaurant, and make a video showcasing the restaurant on her page. So it seems like someone's finally coming to her senses. However, she also requested that John take down the videos he did about her from his page because she's having a mental health breakdown and receiving various threats because of it. Well, hello, we wouldn't have even gotten here if you had simply kept your own end of the bargain from the beginning. Anyways, being a gentleman that he is, John soon put out a statement, thanking people for their overwhelming support and telling us that he and Fahmida had reached a settlement behind the scenes. He also asked people to stop sending threats to the influencer and suggested that everyone moves on together. However, he refused the $300 offer from Fahmida. Plus, he's yet to take down his call-out videos from his page, and we totally support him on this decision. At least this will help to teach Fahmida a lesson on how to not bully other small businesses, because she thinks she has some influence. So way to go, John. You are our champ.
Okay, well, that's you. But on the other hand, me? Oh, I'm gonna turn up.